Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, every 2 years, the gentleman from Salem and I spend a lot of money on pollsters. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for pollsters to tell us what we already know. One of the new aberrations of polling is the focus group. And I suspect that if we gathered together a bunch of Virginians and sat them down and asked them what is the most important thing to you, at the top of the list would be God, my faith. The second thing would be family. And the third thing would be a job, the ability to work. And while we look at these maybe in list fashion, they're really not. They're all intertwined. God teaches us to look after our family. You don't have to look any farther back than the other day when the gentlewoman from Newport News talked about her child with profound disability to see what gets her up and makes her go to work in the morning. A job. We're all the products of our experiences. Let me tell you about a profound moment in my life. 10 years ago, when the textile industry collapsed in Martinsville, we held town hall meetings. And literally hundreds of people showed up at those town hall meetings, and we listened to their stories. Almost overnight, 3,000 people had been thrown out of work, had lost their jobs. And the people that lost those jobs came forward and said, my spouse is on dialysis. What am I going to do to pay for that? My children are in college. How will I pay those tuition bills? Work is the fabric of our existence. Work is noble. Work is satisfactory. Work is what it means to be a Virginian and an American. Bob McDonnell was not my first choice for governor. Shocker. But I was heartened by the fact that after the election that he came to Martinsville. He traveled all around this state. And he said what he said during the campaign, that I'm about jobs. That I want to create jobs. If you pick up today's edition of the Virginian Pilot, on the front page is an article by Bill Sizemore. I'd like to read you the first few paragraphs. It's been one of the most frequently uttered sentences on the floor of the House of Delegates this year. This is a jobs bill, Mr. Speaker. Delegate after delegate has promoted measures, many of them introduced at the request of Republican Governor Bob McDonnell, by promising they will create jobs and help Virginia's recession-racked economy rebound from the doldrums. Such pronouncements are invariably greeted with cheers and applause from the House Republican majority. Us too, for that matter. There has been less discussion, however, about the potential job losses that could result from the multi-billion-dollar cuts being applied to the state budget at the same time. By at least one estimate, these cuts would cost as many jobs as the governor and the House majority hope to create. McDonnell introduced a package of economic stimulus measures last month that he said would lead to the creation of more than 29,000 new jobs over the next 2 years. Last week, the VEA estimated that McDonnell's proposed $731 million in cuts to public education could lead to more than 28,000 school job losses. That number doesn't include any jobs that may be lost from the recommended cuts to health and human resources programs. McDonald's office did not respond to repeated requests for comments. The other piece of the puzzle, I this morning asked the healthcare community is, what are the job losses that the House budget would cost? 6,000. Add those to the 28,000 job losses of teachers, and you have now exceeded the number of jobs that our governor wants to create. The gentleman from Lancaster said a few days ago that the budget is a moral document. Good words. How is a document that will cut 22,000 children from health insurance, that will cut homeless services, that will cut funding for mortgage counselors for those in danger of losing their homes, that will cut at-risk funding for schools, that will cut Medicaid reimbursement rates, and hundreds of millions of dollars for education be moral? You want to sum this budget up? We're opening the rest areas and closing the schools. At the end of the day, it's about jobs. Mr. Speaker, I in good conscience cannot vote for this budget. Nay, I would tell you I'd rather resign my seat than vote for a budget that cuts this from education and does away with this many jobs. I could not go home. We failed in our commitment to the people of this Commonwealth to give them the nobility of work.
And resolutions under Rule 39.